Hey folks, David Stewart here. So, today's topic is what you see is not what you get. Let me share a little bit of an anecdote with you from a few years ago, like 15. I don't know if that's a whole bunch. If you've only been alive 15 years, then that's probably a whole bunch of years. But as I get older, I'm like, 15 years is just not that long. But anyway, about 15 years ago, I'm at the NAMM show. If you don't know what the NAMM show is, it's National Association of Music Merchants. They may have actually changed what it means and kept NAMM. It used to be all about products and getting products into your music store. And at the time, I was there with my friend Daryl, and both of us worked out of a music store at the time. So we were basically there on company business, looking at products, just getting to look around. And what it used to be about was a lot of merchants trying to make deals with, wholesalers and with direct retailers to get their products in and sold. And we're down in the lower rooms of the Anaheim Convention Center, which are still huge. The entire thing would be filled to the gills with different companies, different products, everything from Roland down to guys working out of their garage trying to ship some products. So we're down there and we're looking around. We come across this stall that has these really weird looking guitars, right? And the way the guitars look is probably not that important, but they had kind of unique body style and they were all kind of routed out. So it was like they took they started drilling chunks out of the guitar. So you had this appearance of like a bunch of fins and like a hollowish body. They were very light. That's the best way I can describe it. But the guitar is really not that important because it's really about the model that was there. So they had these posters. They had this big poster up in front, and it's got this naked woman holding a guitar. And she's holding the guitar. Again, I'm going to grab a prop. So you can imagine that I'm like a beautiful woman. She's like holding the guitar so it like covers up her, her breasts and stuff. So you can't see any of the things that we view unviewable outside of the normal adult areas of the video store, let's say. So she's holding that and it's covering her up. And I didn't find the model in the poster particularly attractive, but she wasn't unattractive or anything. And as we're looking at the guitars, because our focus is on the products and we don't really, we didn't really care about models or whatever, but whatever, it's promotional material. We hear this voice that's like, who should I make this out to? And we look down and we do this double take, both of us. We're just like, what? Huh? We're confused for a minute because we had so little attention paid to the people sitting at the table. And there's this woman and she's got these stacks of these posters that were there. And we stop for a minute and we realize that this is the girl from the poster. Now, the reason we had to stop and think about it is what you see is not what you get. This woman looked completely different on the poster than she looked like in real life. On the poster, she looked reasonably attractive. In real life, she looked a little rough, let's say. She looked like she had been, she basically looked like she was on methamphetamine. Very emaciated and thin, wrinkly, like around the eyes, like a really bizarre tan that looked both unnatural and like she's, sometimes you run into these people that all they do is like roller skate outside in Santa Monica all day, and they have this weird brown baked skin that just looks very strange, like they've been sunburned into the ground. That's what her skin looked like. It looked awful, like it was made of tobacco paper or something, right? Like the lining of a cigar. That's what it was like. This woman looked really rough. She looked like she had been just out of a halfway house or something. She looked really bad, and so we had to stop and think, this is the same woman on the poster. And we have like a little chuckle to each other, and we're like, dude, let's get one for Jerry, our other friend that we played in a band with, a rockabilly band at the time. And so we're like, hey, make it out to Jerry. That's our friend. He'll really, really appreciate this. And so she signs it, and we don't know if this is like supposed to be some kind of famous model or something, or this is just something that they were running. Meet the pretty girl, talk to the pretty girl, look at our products, another way to get attention. But she wasn't pretty in real life, even though she looked pretty decent on the poster, let's say. Not my type, but not unattractive. And so brought that, when we were done, brought that home, gave that to our friend Jerry, and he's like, whoa, she's really hot and stuff. And she had like, fake breasts, the whole bit. And so the point is, what you see is not what you get. It's what you see is not what you get, specifically when I'm talking about presentation of ideal aesthetics, right? So I've talked about this a lot this year on the channel. Aesthetics, beauty, things like that. I've had pictures, wait, there we go. Aha, pictures of beautiful women that I've used in different capacities. And I want to reiterate that these are idealizations of beauty. These are not what these people actually look like. So this woman does not actually look like the way that you're going to see on the picture. Now, I've seen a bunch of other pictures of her. She's a beautiful girl, and if you met her in real life, you would think she was beautiful. But there's a bunch of things that go into the presentation of a subject which will enhance that beauty and push it towards the ideal rather than the real. For one thing, you have lighting. This is a professional photographer, and if you're looking at the lighting, you'll see that there's a strong light to her right, and then there's a fill light to her left. They have some kind of light set up. She's on the beach. It's probably very sunny. She might be standing in the shade to avoid the direct, harsh sunlight. And the whole point of this lighting is to even out the skin tone and to reduce the shadows. You only want a certain amount of shadows, the shadows that are necessary for you to see the shape of her face and things like that. But too many shadows and you're going to see details that are, maybe not the best, or it's going to exaggerate or minimize certain features. So everything about this photo is staged, starting with the lighting, which makes her skin look really radiant and really smooth and beautiful. And of course, she's wearing makeup around her eyes, right? She's wearing mascara and makeup, and her eyebrows have been done to a certain extent. She might be wearing something on her lips, though her lips look a little bit natural. And of course, the pose that she's in is there to highlight the ideal form as well. So she is sticking her chest out. She's not a super well-endowed woman, but it's enough to enhance the appearance of the breasts. And then, of course, you see the breast in profile, which is going to make it look more pronounced, bigger, and draw your eyes to it. She has her one shoulder pulled very far back, and her hips are facing more forwards. That's going to make the waist look smaller, and it's going to enhance that shape of like a small waist and large hips. These are things that we view as idealizations of the female form. And of course, her hair is done a certain way. Her hair is pulled behind her face to create this contrasting look where you can see her profile very strongly. Of course, there's light on her eyes to really enhance her eyes and make those a focal point of what you're seeing there. Everything about this photo is staged in order to enhance her beauty and push it more towards the ideal. If you were to meet this girl in real life, you'd probably think she's really pretty, but you may not recognize her from the photo because of all these things that are done to the photo in order to enhance her general appearance. And of course, just the little bit of the show of the white teeth, all these sorts of things are done in order to enhance what's there. And there's more with this, right? Like if we look at a picture like this, I don't know if I've used this one. I had it licensed, so I just grabbed it for this. You have a woman who, notice the way that she has her hips cocked to the side, one leg forward, one leg back. This is to make her hips look bigger than they actually are, and to sort of make a more pronounced view of what you might call the pubic triangle. Of course, her shoulders are pulled back and her chest is pushed forward to make her breasts look larger. They may also be enhanced with plastic surgery or something like that. And then you have a fill lighting, which is to even out the lighting on her face so you don't see too many harsh shadows, with this really strong side or back lighting from the sun in this picture. The sun is over here somewhere. So all of this stuff is staged to make this woman look as sexually attractive as possible. And that's why I tend to get drawn personally towards more naturalistic poses which are actually not there to enhance the beauty of what you're seeing, but are maybe more the way a person would naturally stand. So in this way, this is the way a girl would naturally stand if she were talking to you. Her shoulders are kind of hunched forward a little bit, She's not in one of these super sexy poses. Her hips don't look quite as wide because she's just standing like a normal human being. There's some harsh shadows on the side of her body that you can see, kind of the bones or this little thing there, these little details. A photographer that was really trying to make her look super sexy would have her turn to the side and do all these things to minimize these shadows. And she's still a very beautiful girl, but it's a more naturalistic pose. And I get attracted to that because I'm so much more aware of all the tricks that photographers do. And this is before you start doing things like Photoshop. So you may Photoshop an image to, maybe there's like a pimple on her thigh or something, you just Photoshop that out. You just use the clone tool and you can just stamp out that flaw. So by the time the image is totally prepared, and this was true back in my anecdote I was talking about, by the time that image is prepared, that model has had makeup put on, they've changed the lighting to even it out, they've put her in a particular pose to make her body look as good as possible, and your imagination kind of fills in the gaps and has an idealized form of that person rather than what they're actually looking like, because what you see is not what you get. Again, here's a more naturalistic pose. Notice her shoulders are hunched forward just a little bit. This is a normal smile. The lighting is good. I think this is actually the same photographer who did the other girl. But she still has kind of a pose with her hips to make them look a little bit more pronounced and things like that. So this isn't like a totally naturalistic pose. Something like this is really designed to highlight a couple of features that are ideal. You don't really see what her whole body looks like. You know, it's just there to you. She's actually, I think, wearing a swimsuit, but it's there to make it look like she's maybe naked in the water, which provokes the imagination and things like this. All of these things are examples of what you see is not what you get. Notice that this lighting is very strong from this side, but they set up like a mirror or something to reflect some sunlight back to fill in the light. So you get, if you were in natural sunlight, this would not look quite as good when you photographed it. So all this stuff is there to kind of enhance the beauty. You start with a girl who's beautiful, and then you do a bunch of extra other things in order to make it like really pronounced. And once you're aware of these techniques, you're going to be aware of that most of the things that are presented as beauty are idealizations of beauty and not the real thing. Now, I think this is important to talk about because I think both men and women actually end up with a problem where we are surrounded by idealizations of beauty, and then you start to lose sight of what reality is as far as what real beauty is, and what a real person is like, and what being with a real person is like. So on the male side, you start to think that you're comparing every real woman to an idealization of that woman, and they're not going to measure up. And it's much better if you could say, well, there's ideal and real, and they're kind of two separate spaces. So I like it when games have idealizations of female beauty, but I don't need every woman I meet, and I certainly don't need, my wife is really, really beautiful, but she's obviously not going to be a flawlessly created CG idealization of female beauty. She's a real human being. So you stop trying to compare real human beings to the ideal. And this goes with women too, is that, you know, you're presented with idealizations of male beauty all the time. Like, just look at romance covers, abs and, like, you know, big muscles and really low body fat all the time. All of that stuff is an idealization of the male form, and so you're going to start comparing real males to that. And in a lot of cases, it's not just what you see is not what you get in terms of the lighting and all that sort of stuff, but drug use. Most fitness models, I'm not going to say most, but a large portion of fitness models, and certainly bodybuilders, any bodybuilders that are in the pro space, are using performance-enhancing drugs in order to get that idealized body. Your body doesn't want to be 6% body fat. Okay, 6% body fat at a bodybuilding show or something, that, or bikini competitions for on the female side. That's really not, that women don't actually get down to 6%. It's way higher because women just have higher body fat because of their biology. But anyway, that really low body fat with like shredded abs, your body's not probably normally going to be comfortable at that low of body fat. There's probably some people that are, but most people aren't. So you meet a guy at the beach and he doesn't have the shredded abs, and you're like, he's kind of cute, but he's not like a super hot guy, when you realize that all the super hot guys are taking tests and a bunch of other stuff in order to get really lean and shredded. That idealized male form. And it works for men too. They get things like bigorexia, where they're like, I have to work out, diet harder. I have to be spending 4 hours at the gym every day in order to get this ideal body, or I'm just going to be ugly. It creates that complex. On the female side, you get anorexia, bulimia, things like that. Women who are obsessed with trying out different kinds of makeup because they are trying so hard to get to that idealized form of female beauty, which can't really be reached by normal people. And I guess the last one I want to touch on for this particular video on beauty is really something that I think affects men much more than women. Well, it affects men and women, but through different media, and that's pornography. So men who watch a lot of pornography, pornography presents the sexual act in, we don't need to get into like the perversion or anything of it, but it presents it in a fashion which is designed to be visually appealing because it's a visual medium. It's either pictures or video. So if you are watching pornography, you are seeing not even really an idealization. You're seeing a certain presentation of the reproductive act that is not what would actually feel good to two real people, right? It's what looks good on camera. It's what is designed to excite the viewer, not what is actually real when it comes to a sexual relationship between two human beings. So men who watch a lot of pornography, they end up having sexual dysfunction issues as a result of that, including erectile dysfunction or impotence and other kinds of issues where they're just not able to have a satisfying sexual relationship because they are not viewing sex realistically. They've watched too much pornography and they've idealized or they've created an idea of what sex is supposed to be that's based on pornographic images, not on what it's like to actually have an intimate act with another human being, which is an act which is primarily senses other than visual, right? The visual senses happen first, and then you're primarily into touch and smell and other kinds of senses as well. So it's primarily a touch act, not a visual act, and you are changing, kind of rewiring your brain. So people who have pornography addiction, which is a real thing, it's very difficult to break out of it, and it's necessary to break out of it in order to have like a normal, functioning, healthy sexual relationship with a woman. Now, on the female side of it, romance novels. Romance novels can give a very bad impression of how sex is supposed to be and how romance is supposed to be. Again, because it's an idealization of eros. It's an idealization of passion. It's an idealization of erotic love, where the two characters meet, they go through a certain story, their relationship has these certain things, the passion ignites and is matriculated in a sexual act, and that sexual act is written about, but it's presented in an idealized fashion, where everything just happens automatically, it happens easily, it's like super amazing the first time that they engage in the act, all this sorts of stuff. So women end up with a unhealthy view of sex as well, often from romance novels, not in the same way that men do. Men are unable to view the act itself in a way that is humanizing to a partner. Women view it as an idealization of a relationship, which isn't real, because real relationships are not the way they are in romance novels. For one thing, intimacy is something that has to be created over time. You don't usually just jump into it and then find it. So it's one of those things where people are out there trying to find sexual compatibility, and in reality, it just doesn't really work that way. It's something that is, created between two people, not something that is found. So anyway, I thought I'd point that out. What you see is not what you get, and when it's with pornography, that's definitely the case. And when it's with something like a model shoot, this is not what even this model. This model's probably very beautiful if you were to meet her in real life. This is not what she actually looks like all the time. This is an idealized form of what the woman is supposed to look like. Okay, it's not real. What you see is not what you get. So thanks so much for watching this little video on aesthetics. You can think about this stuff if you're an artist, if you're a comic artist, or if you're a painter. You idealize the form, you idealize beauty. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion, and I like it and appreciate it. I want aesthetics to be pointing towards the ideal. However, and you can, of course, set up your models when you're painting a figure in order to enhance their beauty. But, there's a real side of it too. That's why I kind of appreciate some of the, there were some Dutch painters back during the Baroque period that would paint very grotesque looking people in addition to very beautiful looking people. Kind of like the extreme sides of it. And rather than idealization of beauty, an idealization of grotesqueness in reality. It's almost two separate things. Jacob Jordanes used to do a lot of paintings like that. So thanks so much, and I will of course see you guys next time. Let me know what you think down below in the comments section. Have a great one.